We're back with FalkTalk with Dr. Timothy Goodwin and Gary. And we're once again sponsored by the Lindsay McDonald Group, Lending Solutions at Security National Mortgage Company, and Goodwin Chiropractic.
There we go. Signature snap.
I do love that signature snap.
It's awful. That's great.
I do need to see it in slow. Nice.
Yeah. Gotta have something.
That's nice.
TV.
That's real nice.
Today we actually have a gift, an NFL player today. We don't always have MMA fighters here. We have an NFL player who played up until 2009, John Madsen.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Good to meet you.
It's awesome. You know, it's funny having John here. You know, we were just saying a couple minutes ago. Again, FalkTalk isn't always about a victory. You know, I think victories of being an athlete, you got to learn how to have defeat. You know, and we all have had defeat. And I don't know how much defeat you've had, but you know, you've had getting to know you. You know, it's funny, as I was telling you just a second ago, Gary. I've heard John in the community for a long time, man. I just want to say you're an outstanding member of the community. Every time I hear your name, and I'm not just saying this because we're on TV and booing you up, everybody says the same thing, dude. Oh, he's a great guy. He's a stand-up guy. You know, for me, standing for others, we were just talking about this, is the biggest awards you can ever have, you know, because you're not going to take your money with you when you die, but you will take that contribution to other people. He helps kids get college scholarships and he gets in the grind. Like, I had a patient, for instance, we'll talk about you. Well, Dylan, he won't care. You know, the kid was in 10th grade, he came to me, you know, and his dad had all these aspirations for him, and I'm like, I don't know, man, you know, and then all of a sudden he got with John. 2 years later, he started every football game at Corner Canyon. The kid became a beast, man,
Nice.
and John put them together, you know, on so many levels. But we could keep going on. John, what I would like to talk to you about is you told me you didn't even play high school football, and somehow you became University of Utah, Oakland Raiders. Tell us about this. I mean, what's this quest did you as an athlete?
Yeah, you know what? It was, I mean, it's a road that I took that not a lot of NFL players or professional athletes would take. But from the time I was 5 years old, all I ever wanted to do was be a professional athlete. Like, that was it for me. And, you know, I played all the sports growing up. I played tennis, I played baseball, I played basketball, I played football. But when I got to the point when I was a 10th grader, I was super tall, super skinny, and I decided that football just wasn't for me. I went in the weight room for the first time over the summer, and I was like the weakest kid in the class. And I was just like, man, these guys are big. I went to Hunter High School, so I'm out in West Valley, bunch of big guys. Hunter was really tough back then, and I was just like, football's not my sport. I'm gonna just focus on basketball and baseball, and I'll still reach my goals. But I went through a lot of losses in high school. We had a coach that was a brand new head coach for basketball, and that was actually the one sport that was my love, you know, at the high school age. We went 0-20 when I was a junior, so I started every game as a junior, and then my senior year we went 1-19. So I was 1-39, so no state, you know, there was no playoff games. Not anybody on that team was getting recruited for basketball. And I graduated high school without a single scholarship offer. So I graduated. I still knew that I wasn't done being an athlete. It never occurred to me that it might be over. I just kept continuing on that path, and for me that took me to Snow College, where my whole goal was to try out for basketball and baseball, and you know continue playing those sports.
Baseball.
So I played outfield, I played middle infield, I played pitcher, so pretty much everything but catcher. Yeah. So you're not gonna find me catching, but everything else. So I went to Snow College.
Was Berkman there? Josh Berkman?
Josh Berkman was there.
Oh,
yeah. So that's when. So Berkman was a beast running back. Never forget it.
All 225 pounds.
It doesn't surprise.
He was a bigger one then?
Oh, he was 205 pounds, and it doesn't surprise any of us that he's had as much success as he had in fighting. Like he was a fighter back then, so now he's getting paid for it.
He told the story.
Now he's just getting paid for it.
The 100 Fight Club.
Yeah. Doesn't surprise us. Tough guy. Can't say enough good things about him. But no, when I was at Snow College, the first sport that comes up is football. So I went to the basketball coach, and I had a highlight film, and I said, look, I played at Hunter. I want to try out for your team. But he told me flat out that there wasn't a single roster spot open. He's like, John, I've never seen you play. I don't know if you can play, but I have no available spots. Tryouts at this time is basically just to say that we did it, and I'm telling you that if you want to play basketball, you're going to have to do it somewhere else. But I enrolled at Snow College. I had no other choice. So I'm walking out of the meeting just pissed off. And my dad's with me. My dad's my biggest fan. He's like, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I know I can play football. Let's just go talk to the football coaches. And he goes,
That's awesome.
He goes, really? I'm like, I can play wide receiver. Like I'm an athlete, you know. So I took my basketball film to the football coaches, and they at least sat with me, and they're like, look, if you want to try out, you can try out, but we're not going to promise you anything.
Right.
And so they kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but I was 6'5", so you know, they saw a kid with a good frame.
Totally.
They said, yeah, tryouts are going to be coming up. We'll get you, you know, everything you need and just try out. So 2 weeks into football tryouts, they brought me back into their office and they're like, look, forget about basketball, forget about baseball. If you work on this, you can take it all the way. You have tremendous amount of talent. So, you know.
I get
Success gives that, doesn't
yeah,
it?
dude,
Yeah.
inspiration is what gives that.
Right.
To me. Go ahead.
So yeah, man, I tried out. I redshirted because I didn't know anything about football. And then I had to get stronger. I was still not very strong, and that's why I fell in love with the weight room and all that stuff. So I built myself up from this 6'5", 185-pound kid to ultimately going to play for Utah at 225 pounds, and then playing for Oakland at 245 pounds, and just kind of this journey that I had a lot of obstacles and adversity though, you know. So I redshirted. I played that next year at Snow, so I had 3 years to play, and I was starting to get recruited. A bunch of letters, bunch of phone calls. Urban Meyer had just gotten to the University of Utah, and he kept saying in the papers that they needed wide receivers. So, you know, my personality is that I don't feel like I need to, you know, have these certain qualifications for a job interview, right? So
I love that.
I took
Listen to that. Say
I
everything,
took my
you know?
I came home one weekend and I just walked into the university's office without a phone call, without being asked to be there, and I just wanted to talk to the coaching staff and see, you know, what it would take for me to be a member of Utah's team. And so I went up there. Urban came out, never forget the meeting, and he wanted to know my story, very direct. And I had a little film from what would have been my redshirt freshman year at Snow. And so we put it in right there, watched the film, and he's like, you know, we'll be in touch. And then he started calling me, you know, every week, telling me to come back in and meet. Finally, he shook my hand and said, you know, do you want to play for the University of Utah? I said, it would be my honor. I've had season tickets. That's where I want to play. He said, congratulations. He shook my hand, enrolled me in all the classes. I thought I had a scholarship. I thought that's what that meant, but I had to ask him 2 weeks later because he was so intimidating that I'm like, Coach, you know, do I have a scholarship, or, you know, what's the deal? And he's like, look, I haven't seen you play enough, but if you play for me, I promise you I'll put you on scholarship. So I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. I just took out a student loan, paid for it, and I only paid for school for another semester and ended up playing, got the scholarship, played there for 3 years, and that was my Utah history.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So before we go too far, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm learning about football, by the way. While I learn about John Madsen, which is
Well,
fun.
you know, what I heard you say is a lot of things, and this is what, again, I hope this whole thing for me showing up and doing this is have someone get something, is that he went for it, man. He just did it. You hustled, man. You know, you knew what you wanted. You didn't let the limits. So many people are stopped on their beliefs, their negative beliefs that are never going to go away. If more people would just go for it, you know, get out there, you know, not be afraid to say no. You know, if you can't strike out unless you bat. But, you know, we look at that. But, you know, if you wouldn't have done it, if you would have, you know, you'd have been just like everybody else, okay? Didn't play basketball, hung your head. I mean, where would your life be now? You know, it's the butterfly effect, right? To where you're taking a stand. So, bam, you play for Utah, you go to play for the pros.
Right. Well, so my senior year, all of a sudden, dreams now in sight. I have agents calling, probably 50 agents a week calling, and I'm just kind of filtering, telling them to call my dad instead, let him kind of decide who's good, who's bad.
Yeah.
And as the season goes on, I'm having a terrific senior year, and people start telling me, look, you can be a late first round, early second round draft pick. And you know, back in the day, I was watching MTV. I was looking at MTV cribs and trying to figure out what car I was going to drive, all that stuff, man. I was ready for it. I wanted it so bad. 3 games to go, though, I broke my leg. So that dream got taken away instantly. So I break my leg. I can't run for about 6-7 months. I don't get invited to the combine because I'm on crutches. I don't have any shot of getting drafted at this point. And so my agent was telling me that I chose, you're not going to get drafted. You know, don't watch the draft. There are teams who are interested to see if you can come back from this injury. And so the draft came and went. I still watched every pick. Still watched guys that got, you know, picked before me that I knew that I could.
It must have been a low day in your life, bro.
It was just hard because I thought finally that, you know, everything was going to happen. And, you know, I had to walk on 2 times in college before I got it. And then the NFL was the same thing, though. You know, I got the phone call from Oakland. I was one of the undrafted guys that got there. Usually, you know, for those of you that don't follow football, usually one undrafted guy every year or maybe every 2 years will make that active roster. Okay. So at a given time, they'll carry 85 for the training camps and stuff, and they'll cut it all the way to 52. So I got there and was just another walk-on.
So before we go, so you broke your leg. Would you rehab? I mean, what
Yeah,
did you,
yeah,
you just said instantly, I'm going to come over this.
Well,
what were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I broke it, and then obviously at first I wasn't aware of like how bad it was, and if that I wasn't going to get drafted, and that all hits a couple days later. You start talking to people and agent breaking it down. I'm thankful for his clarity, and he told me how it was going to be, and it ended up that way. But yeah, then I got shipped out to Houston, where I would rehab and train, and so the dream for me was still there. It was just that I wasn't going to get that $1 million up front that I wanted so bad. So I was just going to have to work for it a little bit.
He's an ultimate Falker.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah. During that rehab, did you find yourself really focusing on taking a certain pace and then increasing that pace and increasing pace over days, weeks, months? And did you find yourself walking, basically, fast walking?
You know what? I never did that.
He's lying. No.
I know what that is. I know what that is. I just sprinted.
Yeah, I sprinted. Yeah.
You're incredible.
Yeah. No, I mean, I probably was like walking a little faster, but I didn't know what the term was.
Yeah.
So I wasn't
We
technically
didn't either
doing it.
So that is awesome.
Yeah.
So you made that roster team, okay, and then you just from there it just bingo. We made the Oakland Raiders.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was hard because I was a wide receiver in college,
Okay.
6'5", 225 pounds, and when I got to Oakland, I was a little bit slower than I normally would be because I was still coming off that injury. I was still hurt, for the first little couple weeks that I was there, and I got to training camp. So there's mini camp. There was like 3 mini camps, and then the summer, and I was still kind of wide receiver, not getting a lot of participation in practice at all. In fact, I thought my days were limited. I got to training camp, and I went to the wide receiver room, and the wide receiver coach told me that Mr. Davis, Al Davis, told them that I was going to play tight end. So decision wasn't mine. I just did whatever the owner said at that time. So now I had to take my 225-pound frame to 250 pretty quickly. But I was in the tight ends room with 7 other guys. I was the last man on the roster, and all of a sudden I just started making plays in practice. I had a preseason game, kind of my first experience. I caught 3 balls for like 75 yards or something, and all of a sudden stuff just started happening. Found my way on the roster, and played there for 2.5 years, and then I got released and ended my career with the Browns.
So John Madsen is a name that a lot of my friends probably would know.
Oh yeah, he's a couple in this area. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. You know what I love doing about so FalkTalk, we produce this to bring attention to a couple different businesses, but also local generals here, people that are local connectors in a sense.
Yep.
You're connecting a lot of high school kids with
we'll talk about this in a
scholarship.
second. I don't know enough about this program, but I know a lot of people that win it. Tell us now. So you left the NFL. We could go on all day long here. That amazing story, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. If you never read that book, you should read it.
I'll get it.
Okay, so you remind me of the exact same story. Gymnast breaks his leg, and he overcomes all this stuff, adversity. This guy's just like, oh yeah, I knew I was gonna kick more ass, so I'll just keep kicking ass. That's what I heard. Tell us about your business now, man. I'm fascinated with it, dude. Again, I love the fact that people help other people get better, man. If anybody has been through it, it's you now.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything I learned, everything I learned in my own career, I realized I was living out in Arizona. My NFL career was kind of, it was over. I wasn't with the team, and so I was still training though. There's always a period of time where you think you can get back in, and you might get back in, but you don't really know.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I started realizing. So I'm training at a 24-hour fitness, just doing my thing, and I saw a trainer training high school athletes, and I had this moment of clarity where I knew that I had so much to give. These young athletes who wanted to be better, who wanted to go to college, or who wanted to, maybe they weren't all-star athletes. They just wanted to have a positive high school career, whatever it was. And so I remember having this kind of vision of me opening up a gym, and I knew I couldn't do it in Arizona. That wasn't my hometown. So I decided that I was going to move back home, and I was just going to open up a gym, and I was going to train athletes. That was about the extent of my thought process, And so I just, and kind of like rehashing my story, that's kind of my personality. Like I decide something and I just do it. And so I came back home. I opened up a gym in Draper, knew nothing about business. You know, I didn't have a grand opening. It was just like, I'm gonna build it and people will show up.
Yeah.
Kind of the dumbest business idea ever. But
What's the location?
so now I'm in Holiday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I started in Draper and then I moved to Midvale and then now I'm kind of central. So
Tell us where you're at.
yeah, 4894 Highland Drive, in Holiday.
And what does a day in life look like as a young athlete coming into you? I mean, do you evaluate them? Do you look at them? Do you sit down and chat with them? What are your goals? Do you guys develop goals together? Is that what it looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Every new person, every new kid, I want to sit down. I just want to know where they're at. I want to know where they're at, and I want to know where they want to be, and I want to be that bridge for them. I want to give them the roadmap to get there. And so, yeah, there absolutely is an assessment, and this period where I'm trying to get to know them and know their limitations, know their strengths, and then I'm going to build a program around that person, and I'm going to try to get them where I know they should be, regardless of sport. So I pull from all sports, not just football.
During this session, you were talking about, it seemed like when you got into snow, when you got into Utah, you were promoting yourself, and
Right.
you got the deal done each time.
Right.
Because of that, are you going to be able to help these kids get that deal done by themselves? Is it going to become a little bit more of an agency in a sense?
Yeah, you got to be careful with that. I mean, there's a bunch of like collegiate rules and different guidelines as far as like being an agent for a high school kid. You know what I mean? So there's a lot. So really, what I do, I mean, you can't. A lot of times you can't be an agent like shopping kids all around. So I don't really do that. I want to enhance their abilities as much as possible, and then tell them exactly what they need to do if college is the goal.
You're a Sherpa.
Yeah. Just
That's
guiding
it,
them.
The athletic Sherpa. That is awesome, man. Now I know he's helped other kids. A couple kids. Patient was his friend and was patient of mine for years. She looks at me like, well, John had helped my son get a scholarship. Like, I'm supposed to have known that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, really? Yeah. He's a superstar. I'm like, he
That's
made him a
incredible.
superstar. That's really cool, man. I mean, I didn't know your story. Like you said, I like to get to know people.
I do, and I
It's-
like the
it's
surprise of
fascinating,
to not know much about somebody when you meet with them is exciting. It's like watching a movie, not watching the trailer at all.
See, I saw this guy walk in my office. I thought, damn, he's been kicking butt this whole life, bro. Beating people up and going for it. I didn't know he had all these obstacles. And that's, we're all fighting a fight, man, and hopefully you show me the 5 people that hang around the most and show you your future. You know what I mean? It's obvious your dad's been a huge influence. And I bet if we should interview Mr. Madsen right here, we'd find out the real truth is probably the drive that he put on you. You can do anything, and how he brought you up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is, we namaste to him. But man, great interview, great stuff. Come check this guy out, you guys. I mean, we're just driving over here. Timmy and Landon are getting ready to come over and see him. It's time. They need a mentor in his life because they don't want to listen to me. So we're gonna have John pick his brain a little bit.
Nice. Well, we've really enjoyed having John Madsen on FalkTalk today. If you have a story of a local person here that has been a success and somebody that can be, an icon or a hero, let us know about him. Somebody like John can really help out others.
And before we leave, John, what's the name of your facility?
John Madsen Performance.
There we go. John Madsen Performance. Thanks, John.
All right.
Man.
Thanks for
Nice.
having me.
What a story.
Thanks for having me.
Good to meet
That's
you.
cool, dude.
Take care.